The Hump Day edition of Weather for Weather Geeks on this January 21st. Finally, we've had a storm that kind of behaved. We've had these systems over the last, I'd say, month or so where they've either underachieved or overachieved a little more than they really should have. And this one actually behaved pretty much as we expected, which is always a good thing. I had about 2 inches at my house in Boardman. I think that's a pretty common number throughout the region. That's about what our forecast was. I haven't seen official reports yet that have been called into the Weather Service. Hopefully, they'll be posting those this afternoon. But I think most of us are kind of in the same boat. Couple of inches. Certainly, the roads got real slick towards the end of the morning and into the first part of this afternoon. But with temperatures now at this hour, as I record this, let's bring up those temperatures. Right around freezing. Road salt works just fine at these temperatures. It certainly helps when we're near freezing during the day for some stuff to just naturally melt. So road conditions are improving pretty rapidly, I would say. The last places to see the snow this afternoon, the I-79 corridor over towards Grove City, heading up towards Mercer. But even that is now pushing out to the east. And for the rest of the day, sure, you might see the occasional flurry or even a touch of drizzle here and there. But for the most part, we're done with any accumulating snow, and all of that accumulating snow is now pushed into central and east central parts of PA. Look at that pretty beefy snow down towards the nation's capital in Baltimore, heading out towards Dover, Delaware, and Wilmington. It is a snowy afternoon over there. So we are going to be in a relative break. Now, this little area of snow out here with a little secondary disturbance will kick through this evening, mostly to the south of our area. But again, even if it pivots through maybe Columbiana County, it's not going to be much. Just, one thing to watch out for, though, with everything wet and slushy now this afternoon with temperatures near freezing, as we drop below freezing and the sun sets this evening, watch for those wet and slushy areas to refreeze. So it could be a lot of slick spots as a result of that overnight tonight. As we peruse the country and look for more trouble spots, there's not a lot out there. This clipper's kind of the main deal across the country this afternoon. A little bit of snow, actually a fairly decent little system out here across the Four Corners region. And this is what eventually will swing east and become a nor'easter for the East Coast. Now, this is going to be too far south and east for us to see any effects. But if you happen to have travel plans this weekend, over towards the I-95 corridor, this could be real trouble. So the beginnings of that system are out here right now in parts of the Southwest. To show you what happens to that, we'll skip forward here. Could see a flurry into tomorrow morning, just real stray snowflakes. Otherwise, Thursday afternoon's fine. I think Friday is going to be a halfway decent day. As we go ahead here to Friday, high pressure is going to drift past us as my internet connection slows. Let's get back up to Friday here. There's going to be an area of high pressure nearby. There it is. Centered kind of like here, so I think we'll see some sunshine Friday. Pretty decent winter day. But this storm for the East Coast, this will be a pretty big deal for some places. Now it's going to be a close call in the big cities between rain and snow. But here's Saturday afternoon. Pretty textbook classic nor'easter off the coast. Just depends on the exact track, who gets the most snow. But with this kind of a track here, be a pretty good swath of snow. West Virginia, southeast PA, northwestern Jersey into southern parts of New England with a battle between rain and snow at the coast. But again, back here in Youngstown and the Mahoning and Shenango valleys, we're just too far west with that type of storm track to see any effects. There will be a little front that slips in here late Saturday into Saturday night that may kick up some flurries here, some snow showers here and there. Lake Erie is essentially frozen at this point, so there's not much lake enhancement to be had. But still, there'll be some snowflakes flying around late Saturday night into Sunday morning. Now, here's the next potential big ticket item for us in Northeast Ohio and Western PA. This will be later in the day on Sunday. And this is another clipper system, but this is a pretty strong one, even stronger than the one we had this morning, at least the way it looks right now. By Sunday early afternoon, it'll be centered over towards South Bend, Indiana, right around Notre Dame University. And a swath of pretty decent-looking snows getting into the I-75 and I-71 corridors by mid-afternoon on Sunday. By Sunday evening, as this continues pushing south and east, I think the snows will be pushing into our neck of the woods. Now, this is the GFS model I'm showing you, but I can tell you that the European model has a pretty similar idea. The Canadian model, a little different, but not, totally different. I think odds are looking pretty good that we're going to see some moderate snows here towards the end of the day, Sunday, and into Sunday night. Now, by Monday morning, if the current timing were to be believed, by Monday morning, the snow would have been already started tapering off, with just leftover flurries by daybreak on Monday. All of the dirty work will have been done Sunday night. I do suspect this is enough to shovel and plow. It's only Wednesday right now, so we're not going to get into specific numbers. We're not going to get into speculation about schools and that sort of thing. Again, this is late Sunday night. This is only Wednesday. We've got plenty of time to iron out the details, but did want to draw your attention to that as the potential next kind of big ticket item for us late in the weekend and into Sunday night, first thing Monday morning. Longer range, as we've been talking about, next week is looking colder. Here's next week, Monday through next weekend into Super Bowl weekend. And look at all these cold numbers for highs. I think we're going to spend a lot of the time in the 20s for highs, maybe even a day or two where we're in the teens. We could have some pretty cold overnight lows down in the single digits, and if conditions are right, maybe we go below zero a few nights next week. So we've been harping on this since late last week, that this final week of January is looking colder than average and colder than this week. How long does that continue then as we transition into February? Well, for what it's worth mode, here's the climate forecast system model temperature forecast for the entire month of February. We're looking at temperature anomalies here, in other words, the difference from average. And if you like winter, this is not a bad map for you. Warm in the west usually means cold in the east, and this model tends to have a warm bias in the longer range, particularly over the eastern U.S. So this is a pretty cold-looking month, I think, for February, which would work out just about as our forecast at the beginning of winter said it would. We said December would be the least severe winter month, and it certainly was a mild one. We had less than an inch of snow. January is going to go in the record books as several degrees below average, and February is likely to be below average. Now, does that mean it's going to be snowy? Not sure about that yet. With our snow today, we're going to be pretty much right at average for the winter as a whole so far. Much less than last year, but overall pretty typical, the numbers for winter so far. Our forecast made back in late October called for a somewhat above average winter, snowfall-wise. Again, less than last year, but still somewhat above average. So if that forecast were to verify, we would need to have a pretty snowy February. For some people, that's good news. That would be good news, I should say. For some who hate the snow and are tired of winter already, you don't want to hear me talking about a snowy February. But too early to speculate on that. But we are fairly confident that February should work out to be a pretty chilly month compared to average. And that's Wednesday's weather for Weather Geeks. Thanks for sticking with me today, and I'll see you tonight on 21 News at both 6 and 11 o'clock. Have a good Wednesday night.